What's going down, people? How you doing? TK coming at you. Been a minute. Been pretty busy. I think that's how it works. We all get busy with life. We get distracted with everything that's going on, and that prevents us from saying anything important or paying attention to anything important or even doing anything worthwhile. Distractions, um, everything to pull us off track. But for those of you who know about my Facebook or my YouTube channel, I had a person reach out to me, and he was like, "Yo, you've been gone for a minute. What's going on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just been busy with life, busy with problems, trying to play comeback." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So I guess he understood, but there's so much going on in the world. Everything is, on a downward spiral right now. We're going through this upheaval, chaotic change, and it spawned multiple events, right? You have change and then you have the catalyst to change. So all of these different events have caused um, different reactions from various groups, and it's funny because, most of us exist in fear and exist in control measures implemented by society because, like, people close to me are like, well, don't say anything because you don't want to ruin your position. You say the wrong thing, and there's repercussions because you can get in trouble. And realistically, if you see my YouTube channel, I've always talked to you guys about one thing and one thing only, and that's smart positioning. Since 2010, I've been coming to you guys talking about making better decisions, planning long term, putting yourself in a financial position where you're doing better than average, right? So when it comes to finances, that's all I've ever talked about. I talked about strategy, I talked about business, I talked to you guys about Bitcoin, about gold, silver, and just getting ahead of the curve in terms of how our society is changing and how financial change is being implemented around us, right? We talked about some historical facts when it comes to how things were created, how the situation came to be about. And, right now, everyone's distracted with all of this other stuff. This is an election year. We've got all of these agendas that are being played out. And, people believe in the American dream and act like Mayberry is a real situation. So they're not strong enough to look at anything factual when it comes to society as a whole being manipulated, controlled, and then steered in a certain direction. People are easily influenced. So there's a lot of social uh, influencing going on right now, and a lot of people are just going with the flow, and it's unfortunate. We're so divided right now. The world is like extremely conquered and extremely divided. And to me, that's sad. I said this on one of my Facebook posts. I said, when you leave this earth and you get to the next life, God's not going to ask you what color you were. So to believe in this divisional control measures that have been put in place and have been made up so that people fight and hate each other, it doesn't get you anywhere. It gets you into a situation of being conquered and controlled and distracted. And I think it's pretty sad right now that we're so polarized and divided, where people honestly believe in separation based on color, as if that has any real significance in the broader picture, right? So, yeah, you hate this person, that person hates you, and that hate was created to instill division, but it's not based on anything in reality because we're all human. We all are going to leave this planet one day, and it's not the color of what's on the outside, it's the color of your heart. So who cares if you're any spectrum within the rainbow? That's not a reason to be divided and hateful, but that's where people exist, right? So I think that's pretty sad. And I see a lot of that going on right now, especially in the midst of the recent rain that's come down. And, it looks like it's only going to be amplified. It looks like it's only going to be more gasoline thrown on that fire. So that repercussion may lead to, who knows, martial law. It may lead to a lot of other negative things that people aren't really taking into account. They said there are 24 cities that are confirmed participate in this riot. 24 cities. Now, I lived through the Rodney King situation. I was in LA in 92. And something that happens organically doesn't happen spontaneously all over at the same time. So, the only thing I'm going to say about the way that this is growing is that there could be some steered direction because you have multiple situations happening in multiple locations all at the same time. And I'll leave that at that. But I also want to encourage you guys to think outside the box. Think about what's next. Everyone has been taught to think about right now, like, oh, just do it. Who cares about tomorrow? But realistically, you have to get to the point where you're doing something that thinks, implements, positions, and it's like 5 years out, some sort of planning, which is what I don't see people doing. Like, you're not thinking about um, strategically, what can you do to put yourself in a better position? Like, realistically, what is step one? You know, your mindset is just gone, and it's unfortunate. I think a lot of people are going to be victimized by the current situation. It's talking about 33 million people being laid off in this post or semi post corona situation. Um, so, you're talking about income struggling. Now you have all of this other distractional stuff with people hating each other based on color. You know, like I said, it's an election year. So everyone's mind is like way off in left field and not really thinking about anything in terms of positioning, and some of it is situational because you can't really get into gold, silver, or Bitcoin when you don't even have any fiat currency to convert into those things. So I get it in terms of why the average person could care less. Like, they say gold is the currency of kings, silver is the currency of common folks, and then fiat is the currency of poor folks. So if you still have the ability to critically think, where does Bitcoin play in all of that? And the only thing I'm trying to say is that at some point, you need to not be driven by your emotions and somehow get to the point where you're doing something smart that can get you to a better place. Um, Unfortunately, most people can't do that. So, the only thing I can say is that it's pretty sad, and the world that we live in is pretty crazy right now. And it looks like a lot of people just won't make it, given the changes that are being put in place. Um, you know, if you are going to change your situation personally, you don't have a job and you need an income. And I've been coming to you talking about generating an income in Bitcoin. And I've really just been thinking, like, how do I get people involved? What is the need? And how do you solve the problem of presenting a solution for a need? So if you think about Bitcoin, like people don't, it doesn't mean shit to the average person. Like, what? Bitcoin? That don't mean nothing to me. But there is a need to earn an income. A lot of people lost their jobs. They don't transition from the concept of Bitcoin being your income. They don't transition to the point of you just doing something financially, put yourself in a better place. Um, I think a lot of the hatred and the problems that we see is because people don't have an income, because they feel angry and desperate and they don't know what's next, right? So, not being capable of looking into alternative solutions, not understanding that this could be a answer to your problems, not even being open to something different than the dollar. Like, really? You talk about COVID-19 and you talk about solutions that Congress has talked about and plans that are being implemented. One of the new stimulus plans that may or may not be passed for 2021 actually talks about a digital dollar where you're going to be issued a debit card. And if you're going to get the stimulus, you have to get the electronic version of the dollar. You have to get that debit card. So people like run from the concept of digital currency or digital money like Bitcoin or digital form of assets like Bitcoin, but Congress itself is talking about creating their own version of digital currency with the new stimulus package. So the only thing I'm trying to say is, in spite of the distractions that's going on in the world right now, changes are still coming or being implemented. You're just not paying attention because you have so much other stuff going on in your life. So, for the people who used to watch my YouTube channel, for the people who remember me talking to you about gold, silver, and Bitcoin, I'm coming back and I'm encouraging you to think about generating income in Bitcoin. And that solution is a viable one for a future that can pull you out of the stress that comes with losing your job or the stress that came with being affected by all of these changes. But again, if that's not something you're open to, I can't force it down your throat. If you are open to it, use social media to contact me. I can explain to you how to generate an income in Bitcoin. It's a simple time. It's a time to learn and earn. And it's only for the strong because the distractions are going to keep you looking left. So if I can help someone, um, reach out to me. And this is just, my little 2 cents in regards to everything that's going on.